Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about The Terror, Season 1, Episode 4. It's called Punished Like a Boy.
As a boy.
As a boy. Either way, it sounds like it's maybe the title for something a bit more...
Yes, yes.
bit more from the behind the curtain in the video store.
Yeah.
um, so, and I mean, technically it was spanking, so I mean, I guess, you know, I mean,
It fits.
it fits to an extent, although this was lashings, and very violent lashings at that.
Yeah.
His ass was like mush at the end of this.
Well deserved though, frankly.
Oh, it was well deserved. I like, because it's funny, because I think part of the thing of this episode is that Francis is clearly maybe out for blood a little bit when he's giving out the punishment. Like, maybe he's been a little bit excessive, but, and here's the thing, right? So Hickey has been shown to be this character who definitely plays by his own rules. He doesn't appreciate command. He's got a very sort of like sarcastic look in his face. You know, he's got a smug smile pretty much all the time.
He's just a prick, isn't he?
Yeah, he looks a lot like you at times.
That's fair.
He actually does have a bit of a ginger beard in the
He
hair,
does,
so it's not a ridiculous statement. So he basically goes off on his own at this point, because the weather's getting worse, time's moved on a bit. 5 months, I think it said at the start of the episode. Although it confused me a little bit, because it said 5 months later in like a mainland section, so I wasn't sure at first if it was like 5 months later for them from the start of the whole thing, or just 5 months later in general for everything.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure because it was a bit confusing because there was a section in the mainland bit and it was like, oh, 5 months later. I'm like, wait, what?
So no, I think it's just 5 months later in general, because obviously I think the whole thing on the land was that Sir John's wife and the niece who was going to rejected Francis multiple times are worried, like, hey, this has been a long time, there's been no word. Should we not be trying to do something now and sending for rescue or whatever? But we'll talk about that. But so they're on alert, and they actually decide between Francis and Fitzjames. They said, hey, we should go and collect that woman. She's been out there for, well, I think they said something like 9 weeks or something like that. Like, since she went out and made her ugly, she's been gone. And she might know more about this. This is of course after there's an attack. There's an attack on the ship. It's not only an attack, not only does it kill a couple of crewmen, it feels like it's taunting them. Like it's actually setting things up.
Yeah.
In fact,
it's playing with them.
After it kills a couple, they go out in pairs, and Francis goes out. He does a bit of a Captain Kirk moment where he's like, no, I'm going to go off in the mission, even though you're the captain. Stay in the ship, you idiot.
Yeah.
But he goes off, and it's this younger cadet who's like kind of scared. He's like, hey, you'll come with me, son. Like, you know, I'll experience with the naivete.
Yeah. It's very much leading by example, this, isn't it?
Yeah. So he goes out, but he gets a bit reckless. He sort of climbs up on his own and leaves the kid on his own. And I say kid, but 20 or whatever he is. But and then the kid dies like really quickly, and he feels guilty about this. And he keeps drinking. His drinking problem's still in full effect.
But he makes a point of saying, I was tracking it. It should have been this way, and it kind of looped around in a way that
it tricked them. Yeah.
Yeah, it really shouldn't be doing.
It played him. It's not just a bear. It actively set up a trap. Yeah, it was a bait and switch. Yeah. So this thing's intelligent, and that gets the conversation going between him and Fitzjames. Like, hey, so it's not a bear and it's not a man, and what the hell is this thing? And that's what gets to, okay, maybe the woman knows it's something in her culture. She's from around here. And
they talk about the cut in half through the claw, and they're like, the way it's like, no, this is like one blade going through. It's not like a slash and a hack.
The Terror's doctor, not the pompous one from the Iberus. He's like, yeah, this is like a big claw, but it's very surgical. Like it's clawed in the same spot 3 times and sort of like really just strong swipes, as if it's intending. It's not just clawing through, rabidly. It's saying, no, I want to cut this man in half, so I'm going to saw in this one place. And it's like, okay, so it's a guy, so it's a person with a tool. Then he's like, no, the strength that would have took with this type of claw to do this is nothing that a person could do.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, right. So there's something more to this then. And of course, it's actually, what's his face? I always forget his name. Hickey. It's him that finds one of the bodies, and it's like half the body because the top half falls off. But of course, later on, they tell us, the doctor says, like, oh, this isn't this is 2 people. The bottom half belongs to someone else.
Yeah.
this is 2 different people, and Hickey actually gets a glimpse of the thing in the distance. We see it sort of moving around in the snow in the distance, so it's very nice and obscured, and you don't get a whole glimpse of it. But he sees it, and he gets this idea because he asks someone to like, oh, where did you find the Eskimos originally, right? Where did you find them? Where was their camp? And then we stay away from that a little bit, and we come back and we actually hear commotion up in the deck. So it's when we're with the captain and we're doing other things, and he comes up and he actually pulls out his gun. He goes straight for his gun and he pulls it out and he runs out because all the men are ready to kill her. They think it's her fault, that she's involved in some way in what's happening to them. They're ready to go after her. And he's like, no. He gives this big speech. He gets all the men to go down on their knees and he's like, hey, enough of that.
Yeah. Like maybe she is guilty of these things, but we're going to get evidence and we're going to do this properly.
Yeah, but we're going to actually try this. But then he's very angry. He's like, right, and you three, because he's like, okay, who did this? And like Hickey stands up, and the two guys who went and helped him, it's like, okay, you three, we're going to question you downstairs immediately. Everyone else, here's what's going to happen. Let's make sure she's fed. Blah 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 blah. They take by the end of the episode, they take over the other ship. Good Sir seems to take a sort of liking to her and wants to kind of try and communicate. He tries to like just simply, my name's Good Sir. Who are you? Because he knows the name of the place in her language, so he says that. It's like, okay, so England,
and the name of the language,
and the name of a language, yeah. But but the reason why I bring up the England one is because he says England to, and then like her word for her land. So he's trying to like, make it clear what he means by that, and he's and that's how we end the episode. But so it's like, so we have Fitzjames, we have Francis, who of course has been drinking all episode. And at one point Fitzjames like, hey, maybe you should stop that. You're in command. He's like, well, we're not going anywhere.
He's not wrong.
Which one's not wrong? They're both not wrong.
Exactly. He's like, well, maybe you should stop it. You're drinking a lot, but they aren't going anywhere.
If he wants it to last, they better stop.
That's true.
Maybe here for a while, Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, so they're talking to, and Hickey tells this story because we don't see any of this, right? And I think this is very important that we don't see any of this because I don't trust him. No,
me either.
I think he's full of shit,
especially with that shit-eating grin he's got.
Oh, he does, yeah. Because there's points in this where he just sort of smirks just in the right way, like, I want to smack you.
Yeah.
Again, it looks like Connor. So he tells a story about how he saw her in her igloo and he thought there was two igloos, but then the second one moved. It was the monster, and then it like she had her hands out like this, and it was like she was like, I don't know, doing a magic spell or something. Yeah. And I'm like, this sounds like, because
the problem is it's just about plausible enough from what we've seen.
Oh yeah, because we had the end of the last episode with the bringing or the food, which is probably what the really neat thing about this is they've given us enough to think he's full of shit. Like, I doubt everything he says because he is a lying little scumbag, but at the same time we've seen enough that it could be possible that, not that she's doing magic, I think that's just him misinterpreting what he's seeing, but
yeah,
just the idea that she's communicating it with it in some way.
Yeah, I think that is possible.
So I don't know, but he's so smug during this whole thing. And then eventually, like, Captain's like, okay, right, well, here's all the things you've done, all the rules you've broke, right? You've deserted your post, negligence, disrespect. He listed a bunch of things, right?
Yeah, desertion, dereliction of duty.
Yeah, all these things, yeah. And disrespect. He's like, oh, who have I disrespected? And he's talking back to his captain. He's like, her, you kidnapped her. That was one of the other charges, actually, is kidnap.
That was it.
Because they were going to go get her in the morning, but it wasn't going to be a kidnap. It was going to be, hey, we have to talk to you because we're dying one by one.
And, it seems reasonable.
Yeah. Whereas they just arrested her because they'd seen her as guilty.
Yeah, exactly.
And who's to say if the captain hadn't got on deck as quickly as he did?
What would happen? No, exactly. Yeah, so. It's funny. You said that he was out for blood. He was very harsh. I thought he was really lenient because he was listing all these, like in this scene at least, he was listing all these charges. I'm like, okay, I know these are pretty rough charges, and you even have one of the guys at the side who goes, hey, when he says, oh, it's like 10 lashings each or whatever. The other guy goes, hey, when we're lost, orders say it's a court martial. Yeah, and he counters it by saying, we're not lost. Give me a map, I'll tell you exactly where we are. But
I think there's I like that line, by the way. We're not lost. Give me a map. I'll tell you exactly where we are. We're stuck, but
we're not lost. And it's why I think it's quite lenient because it's like by all rights he could have caught.
But here's the thing, though. I think this is more complex than this, right? I think he's out for blood. I think he's holding back partly because he's trying to actually take some teachings from Sir John and actually not just kill the morale by actually having to court-martial one of them, or all three of them potentially. But at the same time, when they actually go through with the lashings, like, he insists they finish all 30. Right? He says again and again, he says keep going, and he does not let them stop, even when it's clear that, like...
I don't know if this is, again, out for blood. To me, this is, no. He's asserting his dominance as a captain. He's proving that he is not to be undermined, because this is it. He's
maybe my phrase was not correct, but that...
okay. And I don't think it's been. I think it's more, he's fresh in command of this. It's solo command anyway.
The way he keeps ramping it up, right, and then he adds the bit on. He's like, okay, 20 then, or 30. And Hickey keeps doing. I'm like, Hickey, shut up, because it's when Hickey starts arguing with them. It's like, no, we did the right thing. We solved this, and we might outside the book, but we did it. It's like, punish him, like,
just take your punishment. Just shut up. Every time you say something, and he goes up another bunch of lashings, I'm like, yeah, you're doing this to yourself.
And then he's like, okay, and you'll be lashed as a boy, and I'm like, okay, I don't actually know what that means, so I'm curious to find out. Right? Did you know what that meant?
Nope.
Yeah. So they set up the lashings, and so the way he went up there, and then the way he kept insisting they finish. He's like, no, again and again and again, to the point where I wasn't even sure if we'd had 30. I thought we might have went past 30. I thought, no, he's added a few more on here at the end. I wasn't counting, right? I never thought to count the 30.
Yeah.
Because honestly, what I thought was going to happen is that it would do a few and then cut away. And we just...
Yeah, but it doesn't.
It doesn't, no. We see all 30. And for the record, being lashed as a boy is being bent over and it's your ass instead of your back.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of sense, actually, when you think of being, the belt and, old forms of punishment.
Pain, whatever.
Yeah. But, and, like, you don't see his ass for a long time, but then when you get, like, towards the end and you just see...
It's ripped open.
Yeah.
Shredded.
And see when he's, like, limping away, and then later on when he's limping back to his hammock, and he's trying to get in the hammock without, like, putting any pressure on his ass. It's so good.
Yeah. Look, do you know what the best part is? As he's limping away, he still has that shit-eating grin.
He does. See, when he gets up, he has that shit-eating grin. Like, I took that. Like, I almost expected him to look at the captain in the eye and say, is that all you've got? I almost expected him to say it.
No, you're right. But he couldn't, as harsh as it is, and everyone's watching this, you can't back down from your punishment, can you? You got to, like, from the captain's perspective, you can't undermine yourself. But then from Hickey, if he wants to keep any sort of respect going forward, he can't, just crack. He's got to look like he can take it.
But the thing is, he's such a little weasel that, like, I almost thought this scene could have been like us, him actually breaking and everyone finding out how much of a weasel he is.
Yeah, exactly. But no, he's determined not to.
Yeah, so he's... So I think he's arguably a bigger antagonist in this show than the monster is at this point. I feel like he's going to be planning, because he's got a grudge now against the captain, probably.
Probably, which, I mean, it shouldn't be. He deserved what he got.
Well, he did, but he doesn't see it that way.
No.
I think they've showed quite clearly he's a character who is going to hold a vendetta, and he is going to be out for himself. He's not, like, part of the camaraderie.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think it actually shows something that the episode starts with a birthday. Like, just some random crew members having a birthday, and they're singing to him.
Let's have some celebrations, morale. It's all about, okay, let's do this properly.
Morale, but I think the big theme here is the camaraderie and the fact that they're all together and they work together as a group. And even when the captain makes his speech on the deck, and he's like, hey, you will not act alone, like, we are... we do this by the book. If we lose our ideals, if we lose our rules, if we lose our the way we do things, then we devolve into savages, or whatever. We stop being ourselves. And even towards the end of the episode, when Goodsir's talking to Lady Silence, he's like, "This is not how Englishmen act." I mean, I hate that a little bit. I feel like that's how Englishmen act. But
no, this is the thing. I get it from his perspective, because. He seems still relatively fresh. I don't know if he's ever been out on a ship for this long.
Maybe. I was just cracking a joke there, but yeah, maybe.
No. But I mean, I think he's seen Englishman society, in London, where they put on the front, but here on the ship, it's all gone to shit, right?
Oh yeah, because what's the line that Francis has up in the deck? He says, "We will not condone hysteria."
Yeah,
that's the word he used. Yeah. So yeah, I think this was the centerpiece of the episode. Obviously, we had the monster killing some more folk, but I think what's maybe wise and what I'm really sort of starting to really sense from this show, much like something like The Mist or Night of the Living Dead, it's more about to get really, you know, classic old school phrasing here and be a little bit pompous, but it's man that's really the monster.
Yeah, it's the human monster that's the problem.
It
always is.
The core of this show, sure, you've got the monster and that'll have some fun elements, but the meat of it is actually what it does to the group when they have to like be in this condition and survive like this and be scared of the monster.
Yeah, it's what a lot of these style things come down to, isn't it? It's all about deconstruct human nature rather than actually being about an external threat.
Yeah, which is why it's important to have someone like Hickey, who is a complete scumbag and is clearly going to be the genesis of a lot of the problems as we go forward.
And he's going to be the one we want the bear thing to kill, but it's just not going to happen.
Not until like 9 or 10. Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be really satisfying.
It'll be really satisfying when it happens, but it's not going to be a while.
Well, that said, I think what is interesting is in the first few episodes, we were looking at the rivalry between the two captains. We were saying, yeah, okay, we know whose side we're on, and we were like, okay, how's it going to even them out, you know, to make it more balanced? And it did in the last episode with them, right? It made it okay. I understand both of them a lot.
Oh yeah,
more.
just before it killed one of them.
Right. I wonder if it tries to do a similar thing with Hickey at the end. Like maybe, you know, everything he's saying here, was it true? And he is genuinely just doing what he thinks is right, even though he's being a dick about it.
Maybe. I may go down that route. It's hard to say. I feel like... Because it's interesting for me from the captain thing, because Francis actually kind of admits to Fitzjames that he went on this mission because he was asked, like, you know, the niece asked him to protect, you know, and be there for our uncle and be like the second in command to him to make sure they're both safe. And you can almost tell that he's hoping that doing this for her will like get the yes when he returns, like the third proposal.
Pretty much,
we'll do it because he's like, oh no, I'll retire after this. Like I can retire, and you know, because she doesn't want to be a captain's wife. You go away for years at a time doing your voyages, and she makes some pretty good points about the, you know, who cares about this stupid Northwest Passage, and you know. I actually, when she said that, I started thinking about it. I'm like, you know what? Given the technology you've got, and given how hard this is, even if you make it through and you do get through to India and China like you're hoping, this was, just because you know how to do it, this was so hard to get through. That because he says, oh, commercial liners can go through here. He's like, cargo can go through. I'm like, well, how are these ships all going to make this trip when it's been this difficult for you two?
I think the plan was to find an actual safe passageway, right? Like, you know, an area where you can get through without it being this difficult. I think that was the purpose, not just let's ram our way through.
In that case, there isn't one. Give up. I don't know if there is. Maybe they eventually found one. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe with, you know, newer technology, you know, commercially as well as military.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I think now with you know, planes, it's less of a...
It's obsolete. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an issue. I mean, obviously there's still lots of cargo ships, but like, you know, for this route necessarily, we can just just plane. It's fine. So no, I thought that was interesting. And I did actually like that they go to the you know, the admirals and stuff and be like, hey, my husband's out there. Let's, you know, it's been such a long time. And it's like, hey, now they've got provisions for another 2 years. You're panicking here. But she's like, oh no, it was snowing briefly in London, you know, a couple of months ago, and I went out and stood outside to see how long I could take it. You know, which is obviously nothing compared to what they're standing in, just a bit of snow in London. But
I think that was a point.
Yeah, but she could only do it for like just over an hour. She did like an hour and 15 minutes, and then she's like, nope. I'm not going in, and then she lasted like 2 more minutes, and she came in.
Yeah, I have to say, as much as this stuff, it was all right. I get all it's doing. It kind of feels so separate and divorced that I'm not really feeling it right now. It might tie in a bit more relevantly later.
I thought it was interesting. This is the first time I've had present day stuff on land, because everything else has been flashbacks to before they left. Yeah. So this was an interesting change, possibly for the worse, depending on how you feel about it. But interesting that it's different. I do like the continuing theme though of I mean, it's debatable what you want to call this actually. I mean, I'd argue there's still a little bit of hubris in here with the admirals being like, oh, they'll be fine, like, you know, we've all survived and they'll survive. Sir John's good at this, it's fine. Like, everything will be okay. They're just ignoring and not considering the idea that there might actually be something wrong. Yeah. You know, the one guy says, oh no, if they're not back, if they heard no word by next spring, I'll go out looking for them myself. But yeah, it's probably going to be too late by then.
Probably. And that's the thing. None of this stuff's bad. It just kind of feels a little bit redundant at the minute. It might pay off a bit more later on. But right now, I'm like, okay, what's this doing for me, other than just reinforcing the points that we already know?
That's fair. I think what's interesting though is we debated in episode 2 about finding out that Francis was trying to marry Sir John's niece. And I feel like, not in like a big, like obvious payoff way it's actually paid off, but I do feel like gradually it has actually kind of added to him, because knowing now that he, like, his entire motivation for coming here wasn't the glory of finding the passage, and it was still purely for that. Like, that was his motivation.
Yeah, that helps, but I don't know. I'm not still super into it as a thing. It's okay still.
It's a running thing. Like, it wasn't like, because I think that I had a worry that once they brought it up, it was never going to be mentioned again outside of maybe just like some conversation, perhaps. Like, but whereas I feel like it's been brought up again now enough that I feel like no, it's a running part of his character. It's not just something in his past; it's something that's concurrent. It's something that he's doing this for, and it maybe adds to the reason where he cares more about getting home than finding this passage. More than he ever,
fair.
He always did. Really, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
So. So we got that. Other small tidbits. Some of the crew are getting sick. The food's starting to spoil a little bit. Some of the tins of food.
Yeah, well, we mentioned there. They said, oh, they got 2 years worth of rations still.
Yeah,
but we know, that some of the solder on the tins is screwed. Some different material that they're using, and it's ruining the food essentially. So that's not good.
Yeah, didn't we say like last time that we may have to like get into the whole like problems of like food running out? You said, nah, prison for years will be fine.
Hey, based on the information, stand by it.
Connor was wrong.
They retconned it later.
This was no retcon. This was your hubris.
Oh, was it now?
Yeah, your big fat ginger hubris.
Okay. But yeah, we do have the other guy who's looking sick at the end.
Yeah, and he's got his gums are going all funky.
Yeah, that's scurvy, right?
I
thought it was scurvy that did that. Maybe I'm wrong, but
I don't think so. Just because of the way that Goodsir like reacts to it. He doesn't like, immediately go, "Oh, this is a case of scurvy shit." Right? Let's do what we, because the scurvy's a known thing. Like, they all know what this is. The way he was sort of like curious about it made it feel like it was more, this is something unknown.
That's true.
So,
that's true.
Yeah,
his reaction threw me, but I thought that was what that was. But
I mean that might be part of it, but maybe it's slightly different. Maybe like it does that to you. I mean, it does something to your gums, but maybe we just don't know what. Maybe actual scurvy looks different to that in the gums.
Yeah, it could do. Yeah, I do wonder: is it this solder that's been leaking into the food? Is it like lead poisoning essentially, or whatever they're using?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, use lead in your food.
Well, I'm not saying it's actually lead, but whatever metal that it is poisoning them.
That would be hello, Megan revelation.
Yeah, it would. I think that would really screw them over. It's like, well, we can't eat the food because we'll get ill.
Yeah, whoever made those tins is going to get a right rollicking when they get back.
Oh, they're getting a lashing of their own.
Oh dear. No, I actually really enjoyed this. This may actually be my favourite so far, potentially.
I think it's the most well paced. It's most evenly paced.
It's evenly paced, and I think, again, it focused on one thing, and it was very much about the struggle to maintain the crew. Because one of the big things that happens in this is actually that the terror's rising, and it's like it's starting to arc on the ice, and they give the men the option, like, if you want to like go and like stay in the Erebus while this is happening until things have leveled out again, that's your choice. We'll give you the vote. And at the end of the episode, like his second command comes in and tells Francis, yeah, all but 10 men are going.
Yeah, they basically say if you stay, you can go up a cabin, get some extra rations. You'll be rewarded for staying in the risky place, basically.
Yeah.
But none of them are having it.
So we're going to have a very quiet terror next episode and a very busy Erebus.
Yes. Yeah.
So that should be interesting. But no, that was a solid episode.
I agree. I said, other than the mainland stuff, which I wasn't really feeling, I think this was probably the best one. And
I think, I mean, obviously I had feelings about I forget every time I speak about him for 5 minutes. I forget his name.
Hickey.
Yeah, Hickey. I mean, you know, obviously, I had feelings I didn't trust him. I didn't like him before. You know, I had that kind of vibe about him. But I think this was the episode that really solidified what type of person he was.
Yeah, and he's got stuff in his hammock. You know, the tobacco, I assume.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be petty about this. I think this is going to like escalate because of how childish he is about these things, how naive he is, perhaps.
Well, yeah, that's like I think that's the whole reason he's punished as a boy is because he acts childish.
Yeah,
and it's pretty obvious.
So that's episode 4 of The Terror. We'll be back next week, episode 5. So let us know what you thought of this one in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. There's a link to that in the description, but otherwise that is us. So thank you once again for watching. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?